You close your eyes, and the sound of the modern world fades. The faint hum of a ceiling fan becomes the whisper of ancient wind. You are no longer in your bed. You're standing in Rome, not the postcard Rome of shining marble and golden sunlight, but the real one, the crowded, smoky, and loud Rome of the 1st century. The air smells of smoke, sweat, and olive oil. You can hear the clatter of hooves on stone, the calls of vendors, and somewhere far off, the muffled roar of a forge. It's late evening, and torches are beginning to flicker to life. Shadows stretch across the narrow streets, and the scent of burning pitch drifts through the air. You pull your cloak tighter because you know what night means in Rome. Night means danger. Not from barbarians or thieves, though they exist in plenty, but from something much more ordinary, much more terrifying: fire. In ancient Rome, fire was both a friend and a monster. It cooked your food, warmed your bath, lit your tavern, and then, when it pleased, it devoured entire neighborhoods. The city was built mostly of wood and crowded like a beehive. One careless spark from a cooking flame, one overturned lamp, and the whole block could vanish in a storm of heat and ash. You feel it before you see it, the strange hush that falls when someone spots smoke. Then a shout breaks through. "Ignis! Fire!" Now you're running, because you are one of Rome's Vigiles Urbani, the Roman firefighters. Your sandals slap against the cobblestones as you sprint toward the column of black smoke twisting above the rooftops. Around you, people are screaming, rushing in every direction, carrying whatever they can: a child, a bundle of clothes, a bronze pot, a single loaf of bread. You don't have hoses or fire trucks. You don't even have proper helmets. What you have is a bucket, a hook, and a lot of bad luck. The Vigiles, Rome's first firefighters, were created by Emperor Augustus in 6 CE. Before that, fires were everyone's problem and no one's responsibility. Augustus, tired of seeing his capital burn every few months, decided to form a special force. They were half firefighter, part police, part night watch, and, if you believe the graffiti, part drunk. You, as one of them, earn little respect. People sneer when they see you coming. "Ah, the bucket boys," or "the emperor's wine drinkers." You get paid partly in wine, after all, cheap, sour stuff that barely counts as drinkable. But it's enough to keep the men obedient, if not sober. You and your crew reach the blaze. It's a tenement building, one of the insulae, those tall, flimsy apartment blocks stacked 6 or 7 stories high. They're famous for collapsing even without fire. And now, one side is already glowing red. You can hear the wood popping like bones. There's no water pressure here, no hoses to spray. So you form a human chain, passing buckets from a fountain nearby, throwing the contents at the flames in desperation. It's useless, but you keep going. Sweat stings your eyes, smoke burns your lungs. Somewhere behind you, the centurion in charge is shouting orders. "Come!" You grab a long iron hook, it's almost taller than you, and start pulling at the neighboring wall. The idea isn't to save the burning house, it's to stop the fire from spreading. You destroy one home to save the next. People are crying, begging you not to tear down their walls, but you have no choice. Fire doesn't listen to prayers. The flames roar higher. You can feel the heat blistering your arms. A beam crashes down, and someone screams, one of your own men. The others drag him away, coughing, blackened, still alive. This is a normal night. When the fire finally dies, what's left is a pile of ash and rubble. The smell of wet smoke and charred meat hangs in the air. You collapse on a broken step, your body shaking with exhaustion. A few survivors wander the ruins, clutching what's left of their lives. You glance at your bucket, now cracked and useless. Tomorrow you'll get another one. A soldier from the city guard appears and nods to your centurion. There will be an investigation. There's always an investigation. Fires are suspicious things in Rome. Sometimes they're accidents, but often they're not. Rival shopkeepers, angry tenants, political enemies. Fire is an easy weapon in a wooden city. But for you, it doesn't matter. You'll be back on duty tomorrow night. The Vigiles lived in small barracks scattered across Rome. Each cohort, about 1,000 men, patrolled 2 districts. The city had 14 districts in all, and fires were as regular as sunsets. Inside the barracks, the air is thick with smoke and laughter. Men are drinking, cleaning their tools, or sleeping on straw mats. The walls are lined with buckets, axes, hooks, and ladders. In one corner, someone snores like a bull. You lie down, trying to rest, but your mind drifts. You think of the Great Fire, the one people still whisper about, the fire of 64 CE, during the reign of Emperor Nero. Some say he started it himself to clear space for his grand palace, the Domus Aurea. Others swear it was just bad luck. But either way, you can imagine it, the city burning for 6 days, the sky red even at midnight, the heat so intense that people jumped into the Tiber River to escape it, and the Vigiles, like you, running until their feet bled, powerless against a storm of fire. You wonder if anyone will remember them. Probably not. Heroes are soldiers, not firemen. Firemen get wine, not statues. You wake to the sound of a trumpet, morning again. Rome's streets are already alive with noise. You stretch and grab your gear. The smell of last night's smoke still clings to your tunic. Outside, the sun hits the city like a hammer. The marble of the temples gleam, but you know most of Rome isn't marble. It's wood and filth and sweat. The senators may live in luxury, but the people live stacked on top of each other in creaking towers of timber and plaster. Your patrol begins. You walk through the narrow alleys, eyes scanning for smoke. Sometimes you help with small things, a broken water pipe, a drunk to sleep by the fountain, a stray mule blocking traffic. The Vigiles are half firemen, half janitors. And yet, in your quiet way, you are what keeps the city alive. Later that afternoon, you pass by a bathhouse. The air smells of steam and soap. Inside, people are gossiping about the emperor, about politics, about chariot races. You overhear someone say, "The Vigiles are lazy. They only show up after the fire's done." You want to shout back, to tell him how it really is, how the flames don't wait, how you risk your life for people who mock you. But you keep walking. Respect isn't part of the job. Your payment comes later at the barracks, a few coins and a cup of wine. The coins you save, the wine you drink. It's sour, but it dulls the memories. You sit by the window as night falls, watching the torches flicker again. Somewhere in the distance, you hear another cry, "Ignis!" You sigh, stand up, and grab your bucket. Another night begins. You don't know it yet, but centuries from now, people will study the Vigiles as the world's first organized fire brigade. They'll write that you were pioneers, that you helped invent public safety. But tonight, none of that matters. The city is burning again, and history is for tomorrow. You run through the streets, muscles aching, lungs burning, but there's a strange calm in the rhythm of it. You've done this 100 times. You'll do it 100 more. The fire glows ahead like a second sunrise. The heat feels almost alive, like it's breathing against your skin. You move closer, feel your heart pounding. You think about the irony, how Rome worships gods of war, love, wine, and trade, but not a god of fire prevention. Maybe that's why you exist. Maybe the Vigiles are the only ones who truly understand the fire, who see it not as enemy or god, but as a hungry thing that must be fed slowly, carefully, until it calms. You pick up your bucket and step into the light.
You wade into the chaos again. The smoke thickens, curling in tendrils that sting your eyes and claw at your throat. You can hear the wood groaning, the crackling roar of flames chewing through another wall. Somewhere behind you, someone shouts for more water. Someone else curses the gods. The sky above Rome glows red, as if dawn has come too soon. Your muscles move on instinct now. Scoop, pass, throw, scoop again. The rhythm of fire, the city's pulse beating through you. Around you, shadows of other Vigiles flicker in the firelight. Men drenched in sweat, faces blackened with soot, eyes blazing with exhaustion and determination. You feel the heat ripple off the walls. Every drop of sweat on your skin feels like a spark. But you keep going. That's the job. That's the curse. Hours later, the fire is finally smothered. What's left of the building is a black skeleton. The night air is heavy, full of steam and silence. The citizens have drifted away, their anger replaced with weariness. You and your comrades stand there, tools in hand, staring at what's left. One of the younger men, barely more than a boy, breaks the quiet. "Do you ever wonder," he says, "why we bother? It'll just burn again." You glance at him, then at the glowing embers. "Because if we don't," you say softly, "no one will." He nods, and the two of you walk back toward the barracks. The streets of Rome are never truly dark. Even now, long after midnight, torches flicker outside taverns, and the glow of cooking fires seeps from doorways. You can hear laughter, the faint pluck of a lyre, the sound of sandals on stone. The city breathes, hot, restless, eternal. You think of how strange it is, this city of stone and smoke, where emperors dine on gold plates, while others sleep in alleys. You, the firefighter, walk between both worlds. You save the homes of the rich and the poor alike, but you belong to neither. You pass a tavern, and a few drunks call out to you. "Hey, bucket man, got any wine left for us?" You ignore them. You've heard worse. Back at the barracks, the others are already unwinding. Some are washing soot from their arms. Others are passing around jugs of cheap wine. The air smells of smoke, sweat, and sour grapes. You take your share, sit by the open door, and watch the stars fade over the rooftops. Morning again. The city wakes like a lion, slow at first, then suddenly alive. The markets open, the forges ring, the temples fill with prayer. You and the others sweep the ashes from the street, haul broken beams to the edge of the district, and report to your centurion. He's a hard man, scarred, loud, and loyal to no one but his duty. He glances at the burned ruins and grunts. "Good work," he says. "You saved half the block."
You almost smile. That's the closest thing to praise you'll get this week. Then, as usual, he adds, "Now get ready for inspection." You line up with the others, tools in hand. The prefect of the Vigiles is coming today, a man of rank, a friend of the emperor himself. When he arrives, his tunic gleams white as marble. He inspects your gear, your barracks, your men. He doesn't see the blisters on your palms or the burns on your arms. To him, you're just another piece of Rome's machinery. Still, when he nods and leaves, the barracks erupts in laughter. Approval, even silent, feels like victory. After inspection, you find yourself with a rare luxury, a free afternoon. You wander through the city, past the forum where merchants shout about their wares, past the baths where senators gossip about wars and taxes. You walk toward the river, the Tiber, gleaming in the sunlight like a coiled snake. You sit by the water's edge, watching the current. You think about how much of Rome has burned and been rebuilt over and over. Fire destroys, but it also renews. Maybe that's why the city never dies. Maybe that's why the Vigiles keep fighting, because Rome itself refuses to stop breathing. Nearby, a group of children toss pebbles into the river. One of them points at your soot-streaked face. "Fireman!" he shouts. "Did you fight the fire last night?" You nod. The boy grins like you're a hero. For a moment, the world feels lighter. Then you remember, in a few hours, you'll be back on patrol again. That evening, a messenger arrives at the barracks with a wax tablet. The centurion reads it and groans. There's unrest in Subura, the slum district. Some fight broke out after a fire. Grab your clubs. You sigh and stand. Fires are one thing. Angry mobs are worse. The Subura is a maze of narrow alleys and stacked wooden houses, a place where the poor outnumber the stars. When you arrive, the air smells of smoke and fear. A crowd has gathered, shouting and throwing stones. Someone blames the fire on a rival shopkeeper. Someone else says the Vigiles arrived too late. You and your crew form a line, shields raised, trying to calm the chaos. A man lunges at you, screaming. You shove him back. Another hurls a broken jug. It smashes against a wall, spraying wine and shards. Eventually, the crowd disperses, leaving silence and a few scattered torches. You stand there, breathing hard, wondering if Rome will ever truly be safe from itself. Later, when you finally rest, you think about your strange position in this vast empire. You are not a soldier fighting barbarians. You are not a senator shaping laws. You are not a priest whispering prayers to the gods. You are something humbler, a keeper of light and water. You fight the most ancient enemy of all, the fire that has haunted humankind since the first spark. And though no one sings songs about you, you know the truth. Without men like you, there would not be Rome. Time passes. Days blur into nights, nights into years. Fires come and go, emperors rise and fall. Augustus, Tiberius, Caligula, Claudius, Nero, each one leaves his mark in smoke and stone. You grow older. Your beard thickens, your hands grow rough, your knees ache from running through cobbled streets, but still you serve. Still you run toward the fire when others run away. One evening, you find yourself walking past the great amphitheater still under construction, what will one day be called the Colosseum. You watch the workers setting stone blocks, the cranes lifting columns. You wonder if someday, when the flames come again, even this mighty arena will burn. You smile at the thought. Rome burns, Rome rebuilds. It always has. Years later, you retire. The prefect gives you a small pension, barely enough to live on, and a jug of wine as a farewell gift. You laugh at the irony, even in the end, paid in wine, not respect. You move to a quiet part of the city, near the river. You wake to the sound of gulls and sleep to the rhythm of water. Sometimes, when smoke rises in the distance, you still feel that old tug in your chest, the instinct to run toward it. But you're done now. You've done your share. Children sometimes ask you about your days as a firefighter. You tell them stories of nights when the flames painted the sky red, of comrades who never came back, of the strange beauty in destruction. You tell them how it felt to stand before a wall of fire and throw water knowing it wouldn't be enough, and still do it anyway. They listen, wide-eyed, and for a moment you think maybe they will remember, maybe someone will. Centuries pass. The empire crumbles, rebuilt and renamed until only ruins remain. But deep beneath the dust of history, in forgotten scrolls and carved stones, your name, or one like yours, still lingers. Historians will someday uncover records of the cohortes vigilum, the fire brigades of Rome. They'll marvel at the organization, the bravery, the sheer stubbornness of men who fought flames without reward. They'll write about your bucket, your hook, your crude tools. They'll say you were the first firefighters, the ancestors of all who came after. They won't know your face or your voice, but they'll know what you stood for. And maybe, late one night, someone will tell your story, a calm voice in the dark, saying, "Once upon a time, there were men in Rome who ran toward the fire." The night grows quiet again. You, the listener, can almost feel the weight of centuries pressing down, the faint echo of sandals on stone, the whisper of fire on wood. Somewhere in your imagination, the city still burns. Somewhere, the Vigiles still run through the streets, buckets in hand, shadows flickering in the glow. You picture the red light dancing on the walls, the hiss of steam as water meets flame, the steady heartbeat of men who refuse to give up. And then, finally, the fire fades. The city sleeps. So do you. Because history, even boring history, can lull you into dreams, dreams of smoke, of courage, of quiet men who fought the unending blaze.